And if I'm wrong, I will gladly admit that I'm wrong. I'd like to give the guy a chance at least, although the last 24 hours he has failed multiple policies he said he's going to do.
Right. Well,
and the only thing so far that he has is a ceasefire as far as that stuff goes. So I voted for Trump. I support Trump.
Okay.
But I will say he did lose the election. I think I'm like the second one that's ever said that to your show.
Right. Well, yeah, you're talking about the 2020 election, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he did lose. But my question was, or what I had to say, I think if Trump hadn't said the election was stolen and whatnot, January 6th wouldn't have happened.
Of course. I agree. Any logical person would say that. So let's have a conversation, because I actually enjoy having conversations with Trump supporters, and I'm not here to shame you, so long as it's respectful. So what was it about Donald Trump policy-wise that made you say, let's forget about his behavior for a moment. We'll get to that. What were the policies of the Democrats that worried you, where you said to yourself, okay, I'll vote for Donald Trump? And what are the Trump policies that you like, if you don't mind me asking?
Like all of us, a lot of us were concerned about the border and whatnot and everything like that. And he said that he would only start out with the criminals and whatnot. I didn't hear the churches and schools, and that goes against what he said.
So let's start with the border. If you are concerned about the border, by the way, I'm concerned about the border too. So there's nothing wrong with that. Then why doesn't it bother you that, I guess, the bipartisan border bill, Trump was the one that did not want to put that one through, number one. And number two, he said he was going to build a wall and Mexico was going to pay for it in 2016. We all know how that went down. So doesn't that bother you?
Yeah, that didn't get done, and then they tried to sell the wall and stuff like that.
Right. Listen, I'm not saying that your concerns aren't valid. They are. All I'm simply saying is, when you had a bipartisan border bill put in place, which wouldn't have solved all of our problems, but there's a reason why the Border Patrol endorsed the bill, because it would have helped, right? And Trump's answer is, let's deport 20 million people, which we know is not going to happen. It's a scare tactic. I don't think, and Donald Trump could have shut down the border when he was president. He didn't do so. So what makes you think like he's going to solve the border issues now? I guess that's my question to you, sir.
I know not every issue will get solved. There's going to be stuff that he said he'll do that he isn't going to do.
So give me something else. Give me something else, because we already discussed.
The reason why
Go ahead.
Yeah. If we all say that elections were stolen. We all say the elections were stolen. And are you familiar with the Australia National Bank case where the people stole $20 million in the ATM?
I did hear. I did hear about that, but you and I agree the election was not stolen in 2020, and Trump won.
Yeah, I mean, I have arguments with my family and different people about it. And we all have our own opinion. But the bank chose not to say anything about it because it would show that their bank wasn't secure. And if the elections were actually stolen, which I believe they weren't, can you imagine the repercussions that would come out if our government actually said that, yes,
well,
somebody
sure,
cheated in the election?
But we know it wasn't. So let's focus on let's focus on these last 2 days. Pardoning insurrectionists that attacked police officers. Over 600 violent criminals. 600 of the 1,500 were violent criminals that committed violent acts that day. Are you comfortable with people that beat police officers and Donald Trump saying, well, they've been in jail too long, let's just pardon them? Are you okay with that?
No, I don't agree. I don't agree with it.
Fair enough.
I think there's some people that didn't do horrible things or didn't do stuff that was bad.
I agree.
Yeah, I do.
I agree. What about?
But I think it should have been done by case basis.
I agree.
And not a whole blanket.
I agree. He did not do that. He said that ICE can arrest people in churches and schools. Are you comfortable with that?
No, I mentioned that. I brought that up earlier, how he said he was only going to do like the criminals and whatnot. No, I don't agree. I don't think we should go up and search.
I appreciate. You're one of the few MAGA people who call into the show that answer questions directly, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Donald,
and like when Jasmine said that her husband was Swedish and whatnot.
Right.
You know, what are they going to do? Just go out and see, like, hey, let me see your ID, give me your identification here legally?
So all this stuff that we agree on, and you sound like a reasonable guy. What was it about Kamala Harris that you said to yourself, I can't vote for her? Like, what all these terrible things that Trump has done in just the last 2 days, which actually we agree on. What was it about Harris? I'm just curious, because you seem like a nice guy, reasonable. What was it about her that you said, I can't vote for her?
When Kamala Harris did her what's that word I'm looking for? Where she conceded speech?
Right.
I think that was the real Kamala Harris, and if people would have saw that side of Kamala, she would have won. but I just think the people are picking on the different accents and everything like that, and just going back and forth, which Trump did also. But I think she was doomed from the start.
So you're saying, okay, so you didn't like the fact that you felt like she was scripted, but there's got to be something else, right? Like, what was it about Kamala that you said to yourself, policy-wise, I can't vote for her, and I'm going to vote for this guy who's a 34-count convicted felon? Like, what was it about her that you could not vote for her?
I just didn't find her to be real. I didn't find her to be truthful. I didn't agree.
Wait. Hold on. With all due respect, you didn't find her to be.
Go ahead.
With all due respect, you didn't find her to be real, and you didn't find her to be truthful. You're You're telling me Donald Trump is real and truthful? Who do you think is more truthful, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump?
I think, as a politician, you can take them both with a grain of salt.
What do you mean? She conceded, with all due respect. She conceded the election.
No, I know I said that, and I said that's right, the Kamala that I like.
Understood. But you're saying she's not real, and you're saying that she's not truthful. If you could give me examples of her lying, I'm open to that. But I think most people in this country would say the person that's not real or truthful is the guy who puts on 8 layers of orange makeup every day, who still hasn't conceded the 2020 election. So give me something that Donald Trump is not, that Kamala Harris is, the reason why you didn't vote for her. Give me a characteristic, a policy, something that I can't say, well, Donald Trump is worse, because I think we all could agree the person that lies more is Donald Trump. Help me out. Give me something else and we don't have to agree. I just want to hear from you. Give me something else that you don't like about Harris.
Just mainly the border stuff, the illegal immigrants. If you're gay, queer, anything like that, that's you. I don't agree with a lot of that stuff either that was going on, that was being said, and the stuff about guns and everything else.
Okay, so let's just go one. Okay, so let's go one at a time. So you said, quote, the border stuff. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Biden administration was great when it came to the border, because they were not. It's an issue we've had in this country for a long time. But Kamala Harris was one of the people at the forefront, sitting with MAGA Republicans like the Langfords of the world, and putting together this border bill. Kamala Harris was also not the border czar. You know who was, and it wasn't her. And we've talked about the border, and we've talked about Donald Trump, and we've talked about his lies, right? We've talked about we're going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. So I think we both agree that both sides have not done a good job on the border issue. I'm just trying to understand, again, I'm going to repeat myself. You sound like a reasonable, nice guy. I appreciate the conversation. But you voted for a 34-count felon, a liable sexual abuser. Even you admit, which I appreciate, that Trump did not win the 2020 election. He is a threat to our democracy. He said he was going to pardon these I'm looking at terrorists, as I would call them, white supremacists.
Yeah, the Capitol should never have been stormed. What they should have stood out there and protested like people should. You had no reason to go break windows and go storm the Capitol. So
we agree on that. But there was literally a bill that was ready to go, right? There was a bill that was ready, and MAGA Republicans helped put that bill together. And Kamala Harris said if she won the election, which she didn't, if she did win, she would get those MAGA Republicans back at the table. What has Donald Trump done in these executive orders to address inflation, to lower the cost of prescription drugs, to lower the cost of gas prices, which, by the way, have gone up the last couple of days?
If I'm not mistaken, he signed signed an executive order that actually reversed the bill that Joe Biden signed.
When it comes to lower the cost of medication. Yes, I agree.
I'm aware of the bill for border crossing.
Yes.
But there was also other stuff in there. I think if border is such an issue on both sides, and they should come together and sit down. It's like, this is the only thing we're going to talk about today.
I agree with you.
Okay, but first.
I agree with you, my friend, but this is why you're making my point for me. Kamala Harris did do that. She did that. She got Langford and MAGA Republicans to sit at the table, a bipartisan border bill. They had the bipartisan infrastructure bill. The guy who you voted for failed to be able to do that in his first term. They had more bipartisan gun legislation than we've had in 30 years. The CHIPS and Science Act, lowering the cost of prescription drugs, a cap on insulin at $35. Biden's not perfect. Kamala Harris is not perfect. I have my criticisms of them, but they got a lot accomplished, my man. What the hell did Donald Trump, what is he going to do and what has he done? And he said he was going to end the war in the Ukraine in 24 hours. It's day 2 now. Does he just want innocent people to die? He said he would end the war in 24 hours. He's done nothing there except pardon a bunch of middle-aged white insurrectionists, making it more expensive for people when it comes to prescription drugs. I'm just talking about the last 2 days. Can you say to yourself, maybe I might have made a mistake? Maybe I shouldn't have voted for him based on just the last 48 hours? Or is that fair? You tell me.
Yeah, that's a fair question for sure. Okay. And right now it's still early on, and if I'm wrong, I will gladly admit that I'm wrong. I'd like to give the guy a chance at least, although the last 24 hours he has failed multiple policies he said he's going to do.
Right. Well,
and the only thing so far that he has is a ceasefire as far as that stuff goes.
Yeah, and that was Joe Biden's framework, which was implemented, as you know, back in May. Well, listen, I will say this. I appreciate the fact that you're willing to have this dialogue and maybe say, hey, might have been wrong, and I don't agree with this, this, and this. That's more than I can say for a lot of other people that would consider themselves MAGA Republicans. So I do appreciate your bravery of calling into the show, and you're welcome to call back anytime.
Called in not to go this far. I was actually just wanted to call and talk about the whole bank thing and compare it to our election. So I was totally unprepared for this, but
that's
at least I wasn't one of the assholes who got yelled off the show. So.
Well, that's because you treated me with respect. And when you treat me with respect and you actually answer my questions, which, by the way, you did, then I'm always going
to do as best I could. I felt I could do better.
No,
on the
but
questions.
But you answered my questions. I didn't have to. If you listen to the show regularly, which I hope you do.
I do. I listen to it quite a bit.
So you would understand then that
almost every day.
Well, thank you. Then you would understand that there are MAGA Republicans that call in, and I literally have to ask them the same question 7 or 8 times. Sir, I'm glad you're not.
No, I tried to the question best as I could, but I still feel I was unprepared for some of your questions. And like most people, we can bring up Kamala Harris and we say that, right. And I felt like I did that in some ways. The same with the questions about Donald Trump you asked me.
No, listen, it's okay. You did fine, and I appreciate you calling in. And please, sir, you're welcome to call back anytime. In fact, I would welcome it. So please call back in again.